As Jared said, it's the stupidest timeline. It was the stupidest bleepity bleep week of fantasy football. But here we are, and we're going to talk about it. Welcome to Fantasy Football, where we hope that fantasy is not detracting from your life because there's just too much else to do that. Let's have some fun tonight. Keep it light, keep it short, because we need sleep. Guys, everybody, let's get plenty of sleep, because everything else we need to eat healthy and get plenty of sleep. Right?
Doing neither.
I was about to say, yeah.
But yeah, that's cool theory. That's cool theory, bro.
Cool theory, bro. My mom has been not sneaking me, but like we share a bathroom because I live with my parents now, and she keeps sneaking me melatonin gummies. And I'm just like, well, why not? And so I've been taking melatonin gummies before bed. And I used to think those things were placebo, but they've been knocking me out.
They work. Trust me, melatonin works.
I'm like, Mom, where'd you get this from? Like some CBD store or something? And she's like, no, Walmart.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, they're over the counter? Anyways, my name is Judah Boot. I'm here with AJ Herschel, the kid. Sorry about that. And it's Jared. He's the stud. I got a plan again this week and lose again.
Another Jared Judah. It's another Jared Judah clash this week. Yeah. This could be our last one for the season, because who knows if we'll, I don't even know if I'll make the playoffs in that public league of ours.
And if you beat me, I probably won't.
Well, we'll have like the same record, and
you'll do each other.
We may not play each other again unless we meet in the playoffs. So yeah.
Will the unbeaten streak continue?
I'm losing Mahomes. He's playing me on the week I don't have Mahomes,
but I don't have Kelsey.
Jared's gonna win.
I don't have Kelsey, so it kind of evens out.
So I picked up Locke. We'll see if he can do what he's been doing.
He seems to do nothing for about 2.5 quarters and then just turn it on for those last 1.5 quarters.
Well, how crazy is it that we were just talking about? Sorry, AJ Herschel. We were just talking about Fant, and I was all Albert B or whatever his name, Albert season, and then he's the one who's out for the season. I cursed him.
Now, who's out for the season now?
Albert.
Remember, I can't pronounce.
Yeah.
Fant's, the guy who's basically stealing a lot of Fant's.
I saw that when that happened, and I was like, oh man, yeah, Jude. I didn't think about you cursing him, but I thought like, oh yeah, his guy just went down.
We already have some comments.
Thomas H already coming out firing here.
Man, he is.
I don't know what kind of vendetta he's got against me. I don't know if I beat him in a championship or something before. I don't know what he's got on me, man.
Although, how funny would it be if a stat correction did save you again? Like it takes
that
a little.
Would be crazy.
It's gonna take some more this time, because like anytime you're over a point, like it starts getting harder. But
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a stat correction over a point?
Yeah. Wait, yes, actually, because that's how I beat Thomas H. Because a blocked field goal equals 2 points. A blocked field goal equals 2 points.
Oh,
yeah.
I think I saw one of the few I've seen one time was like something like where it was a touchdown that they didn't know how to score it, if it's like a defensive touchdown or the player got the touchdown, where I don't remember if it was like a kickoff return that got fumbled, and then the other team picked it up, and then they fumbled it back to the other team, and then that guy went, and so it ended up being like where I lost on because they took the touchdown either away from the player or away from the team, awarded it to the other. So if it's
whole touchdown,
but but normally, it's like fractional points.
Aiden Tobin in the house. What's good, guys? What's good,
happening?
Aiden? Good to have you with us. Well, guys, looking back on the weekend, what were some takeaways? There were definitely a lot of duds, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I looked at so many of my lineups that had 3, 4, 0. Thank you. What's his name with the Titans? Corey Feldman Davis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Goose egg soup for the weekend.
It's that Chi-Town defense for you.
Ooh.
Yeah, just constant. Like James Conner had 3 points against the Cowboys. Rob Gronkowski had 0.7 points.
Brady 5.3.
Oh, Brady killed me.
All the Bucks.
Mm-hmm. Just throw the Bucks.
I remember we had so many Antonio Brown questions Saturday, and we were debating this guy, Antonio Brown or Rob Gronkowski, and then turns out our answer should have just been none of them.
Mm-hmm.
Did I didn't watch too much of the game. Did he do anything? Did he even catch the ball? I didn't see.
He did all right.
Yeah, he had a few. Let's see. He ended up with 3 catches for 31 yards. But they had 3 points. No one did anything. So, it was bad.
Also, Justin Jackson going out play number 1 didn't help a lot of people either.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
Yeah, I tried Matt. I was desperate. I had to try Matt Stafford again, thinking at Minnesota. Nope. Did 10 points again.
Sheesh.
Yeah,
I wish he had stayed on the COVID list, because then I would have beat Thomas H, because I would have had to start Nick Foles, who got 21 apparently. But because he came off Stafford, you couldn't have sat out for 1 more week, man.
Aiden has an interesting thing. He says, I've been doing my weekly watching Waverwire vids and using the websites, and this guy popped up. Josh Reynolds got a good rest of the season schedule, got more targets than Woods in week 8. I have been watching Josh Reynolds get a lot of targets. It feels to me, though, just going back to last weekend, it doesn't just feel like randos are winning the day weekend after weekend. It just feels like Rando. What?
Mm-hmm.
Is this Zacharias guy? All of a sudden, he's getting all the touchdowns. I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah. I mean, you get some of that, and I mean, some of it we see coming, because we're now down on some teams to their 3rd or 4th running back. With Seattle, or a team like that, San Francisco. But then some of these, it'll be like the 4th or 5th receiver that does stuff. It's just weird. It's just a weird season. And we were talking about the parity, and I was looking through some of my leagues, and there's teams where, I'm 6-3, but then down through, I'm 6-3 at first place, but then down through the 6th or 7th place team, they're 6-3. And then there's other leagues, where, it benefits me, where I'm in 9th place at 4-5, but the 2nd and 3rd place teams are 5-4, and then everybody else is 4-5. And so one game, and I could go from 9th to 2nd, so it's like
that league we're in together. I thought I was toasting that, and then I win one game, and suddenly I'm in 3rd or 4th place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't even know how that happened.
Yeah,
but you're right. It's just if you get a lot of points, and there's so many people, and I think I'm the main one. I don't know, in all my leagues, getting 70 points a game, where some people are getting 150.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
no accounting for it too.
Mm-hmm.
I squeaked by that one in our listener league, squeaked by with like 2 points or something like that,
and messed me up because now I'm a game behind you.
Man, that's too bad. And well, so who are the winners? Dalvin Cook, that's an obvious one, but who are some of the not so obvious winners that you're like, thank goodness that there's still these guys? I was thinking Mahomes. He's been just rock solid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Even Wilson saved his game the second half in the fourth quarter, finished with a solid 28.
For sure.
Herbert continues to do very well. He had a touchdown pulled away at the end, but he still got 23. Claypool had a dud game where he had 0.3 points mixed in after he had like two big blow up games. But then the last 2 weeks, he's come back with double-digit points. He's had nearly double-digit targets in both, 9 against Baltimore last week and then 13 this week. So, it's looking like, Claypool is no fluke. He's for real.
Would you trade for him?
I mean, I have leagues where I could definitely use him. Yeah. And I wouldn't mind having him as a wide receiver too. I mean, at this point, like, who would you rather have, him or say DJ Moore? I would rather have Claypool, it kind of depends on who you've got, but there are just so many guys right now that you just can't depend on. I think a lot of who wins these leagues, it's just going to come down to who you drafted. If you drafted a stud and they stay healthy, like if you got Derrick Henry or Dalvin Cook or somebody like that, because so many other guys like Zeke, maybe
you
just
were right. I gotta say, dude, you called it. You said Zeke's done for the rest of the season, and I didn't believe it. You were right.
It's worse than I thought it would be. It's worse than I thought it would be. And so I have like, a team or two where I've got him and CEH, who's also tanked. And so, Jonathan Taylor, which I got rid of Jonathan Taylor, and got Darrell Henderson for him, which we'll see if he can stay healthy enough to make that better. But Taylor's losing all these carries to Wilkins and stuff. I mean, there's so many guys. You look at like the percentage of early picks that have actually stayed in there, and it's just like a handful of guys like Henry and Cook, and then like once you get past a lot of those guys, like you've either lost guys to injury. And Kamara, sorry, yeah. Once you get past a handful of those guys, then you look at everybody else has either been hurt or they've somehow lost their job, or it's a mess.
What do you think, guys? I mean, COVID doesn't have anything to do with the field and their legs. Why are there so many injuries this year? What's going on? I thought at first it was the no preseason, but that can't be at this point.
I don't know. I think it's a mix of things. I think early in the season when we saw a lot of people go down like Saquon and McCaffrey and people not being at 100%, I think it wasn't just preseason. It's the fact that they had shortened training camp, no OTAs, and no preseason. So it's like all of that combined, they had to have all their practices crammed into like 2 weeks before the season started. So they're nowhere near ready for the season to actually start. So I think that's when the first like wave of injuries came through in the first 3-4 weeks. And I just think we're still feeling the effects of that. Like, I'm a McCaffrey owner and he still ain't 100% after being out for 6 weeks. And if you drafted like me, McCaffrey and Eckler in one league, well, there go your first 2-round picks.
Yeah, I mean, it could be fluke. It could be something from, the layoff. Maybe we're going to find that COVID weakens muscles and ligaments. I like at this point, I'm just kidding mostly about that part, but like at this point, I also would leave out like a 2% possibility or something, I don't know. I don't know. It's crazy. I thought it must have been the layoff. I don't know now if it's like kind of a combination of the layoff plus just, coincidence that all this is happening in this 1 year. I don't know.
Well, it's been crazy. And it's a good year to know depth charts. Let's see. So Aiden continues to say, let's see. So, he's talking about Reynolds some more. Do I have it up there? He has 64 points on the year and is worth picking up in deeper leagues. He usually goes off about this point in the year. I actually might take a look at that because I started some jabronis this week and regretted it with just too many zeros, too many 1, 2, 3 points. I'm tired of it. Samuel sitting on my bench getting blown up with 17 with 20. He had like 20 points.
Yeah. He's not getting that much volume, but he's like, they're kind of almost doing that Colts thing where Trey Burton's running in touchdowns, like Curtis Samuel's running in touchdowns and stuff like that. And that's the kind of thing that we're talking about, is just these random touchdowns by like Trey Burton runs or Curtis Samuel runs and stuff like that, where, you just can't account for a lot of that stuff. They're not really getting tons of volume, but they seem to get it in the right moments sometimes, at least.
Seems like it. Okay, well, injuries of note: Ben Roethlisberger is out with COVID and knee and just old man syndrome. Baker Mayfield is on the reserve COVID list, but he went on early last week, right? So he should hopefully be off by Sunday.
Friday, Saturday, I think.
And I think Ben, it was just like, I don't think he's tested positive. I think it's just that he was, near someone who had, so he may be like Stafford, who, he may not practice, but still play this week.
Which is still funny to look at his Yahoo thing, because now his name really becomes way too long. And for some reason, he just has a really big head whenever I look at him on my Yahoo team.
What?
I don't understand. It's like in Madden, his name is so long. His name is Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, I don't know what you want me to say.
Okay. Well, so it's the Chiefs, the Falcons, the Jets, and who else on bye? I think that's it, right?
No, there's one more.
Is it the
Who's
Cowboys?
Derek Gilbert. Yeah, Cowboys.
Okay.
Cowboys. So bench all your Cowboys.
Yeah, right.
Again.
So, just to be thinking about that, then also in the news, it looks like it's hard to tell if it's a big deal or not, but it looks like McCaffrey may be struggling with a shoulder now. Is that what it is?
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
Well, it doesn't look like it's too bad. I think people are blowing it up because, stupidest timeline, but it could be something. What do you guys think, Jared? You seem to you have read about it.
Well, my Christian McCaffrey story for the week is that I forgot I have him in one $20 league, and I forgot to take him. I forgot to take him off my IR, and he ended up with, what did he end up with? 30 points or 20 something? 32. Yeah. 32. Well, 32.1 in half point PPR. And I lost by less than 5 points. So, I mean, he would have easily carried me over, but whatever. It's $20 league, whatever. Okay. Yeah. But that's and so then now it's just like, okay, well, maybe I don't need to take him off IR after all, if he's going to be out again. We'll see. But anyway.
That's frustrating. Yeah, I left. Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it was notable that, like, I thought they would just keep Mike Davis more involved.
Yeah. And Rule said they would like alternate drives, like Saturday before the game.
He did get a lot of play. Not a lot as far as snaps, but he seemed like watching the game, because that's the game I get around here.
Yeah.
he seemed to be getting some important plays.
He did get
At least early on.
six targets. He had 5 receptions and stuff. So maybe it doesn't always break out that. Maybe there's going to be some times, but I thought they would try to use him a little bit more. I mean, there's really no reason. And I mean, we see McCaffrey got hurt. I mean, you're in a season where you're not really playing for anything. I mean, I know you still want to try to win. I know Christian McCaffrey wants to be on the field, but it just seems like, your running backs only have so much mileage. Why don't you just, Davis is proven capable. Why don't you just incorporate him in more and save Christian McCaffrey for a year or two from now when you are a more competitive team?
Not things that AJ wants to hear.
Not things that he wants to hear. Right. Yeah.
No. Oh my goodness. As soon as you sent that out on the Roto Hackers Discord, Judah, which everyone should join. But as soon as you sent that out, mine was like, no. I've invested too much in Christian McCaffrey for this to go wrong.
Yeah. And some of these things, I thought might just be a rumor, but then it seemed to have a little teeth to it. Also David Johnson got a concussion.
Yeah.
David Montgomery has a concussion. Justin Jackson's out with a knee. Damian Harris, this guy.
Yeah. Well, and again, like you look at like what I was saying about some of the running backs before, like, you look at Seattle and we're down to, who were we talking about at the start of the season? Like Chris Carson, Carlos Hyde, maybe Rashad Penny comes back. And then there's Travis Homer. And then we're down to DJ Dallas. And then Los Angeles. Austin Eckler, and then we got Joshua Kelly. And then Justin Jackson may come in, and then who is it? It's Kalen Ballage. And so like I'm just at a point now where I'm just like, let's just get this year over. Let's just get this entire year, including the fantasy football season, over. I'm going to do as best I can with it, but I just like I don't have any more energy to be like, who can I find to plug in? Like I'm not to the point of giving up, but I can't also stress over it at this point,
New petition. Let's just retroactively make all the leagues quarterback, 4 wide receiver, 1 tight end, no running back. It is only benefiting Cook and Kamara owners.
Pretty much. Yeah. And Henry to a certain extent, yeah. Geez. And I think we talked about it, like at the start of the thing, like there are a limited amount of backfields. We said at the beginning of the season that have like a clear, running back. And then once you then tack on the injuries, then, you're literally looking at like a 10% clip of like 3 guys out of 32 teams or whatever,
And Jared, you and I and AJ, we went over. So I forget who did AFC, NFC, but
we went AFC, over. We did NFC.
Okay, yeah. And a lot of it was just, dude, have you ever heard of this guy? Have you ever heard? And those are the guys that are starting now.
Yeah.
I wish I had looked them. I mean, it wouldn't have mattered because there was barely any info. I did go look up some of them. It was like,
yeah.
And still today, I'm like,
That is the thing I do want to credit you, Judah, on though. This is like the second year in a row you've done well predicting backup running backs. Dallas and Singletary last year. You said during the draft, because Jared and I were joking with you, you were like, I think he's a good 12th round pick. And Jared and I were like, we think you can probably get him like after the draft and no one's gonna care. Devin Singletary last year.
Oh, last year, yeah.
Who
is it this year though? I haven't done very well this year.
You said keep in mind DJ Dallas. That's a name you need to know. Seattle's backfield's always injured. Look what's happened the last few weeks.
That is a good call.
Just saying. Credit to Judah. Where credit is due.
I just like his name. I'll be honest. But look who has Robinson on most of his his lineups. Jared went out and picked up Robinson the week before most people got onto him, and he's turned out to be. I mean, I think he's probably top 3, right?
Yeah, In some leagues. I think in PPR he's 2 or 3. I think half point he's like 4 or 5 now since, Dalvin Cook decided I'll just destroy every team that comes in my way.
I had a buddy of mine ask me for a prop bet. I did great with prop bets over the weekend. I was 3 for 3, and I did not play any of them, but I was right. But other people made money off of them.
Nice.
But yeah, a buddy of mine asked me, he's like, look through all the prop bets. Like, what's your number one? If you just had to pick one, what's your number one prop bet? And it was Dalvin Cook over under 88.5 yards. I'm like, he is going to tear that Lions defense apart. And he had 206 or something, I mean, he went over the prop bet by like 120 yards, so,
wow.
So I made a buddy of mine some money off of that. And then the other one, my second one would have been like Herbert was at like 267 or something like that. And he went over 300. So maybe that's what I need to start doing is like, maybe play a limited number of teams and then start playing prop bets now that we have those.
Yeah. I need the Vikings to just play someone with a decent run defense so my Thielen stocks can at least look somewhat okay.
Right.
Let's see. Oh, we've got Sam Joshi saying Mike Williams, Judy, or AB. I'm going to have to go with Judy. Judge Judy seems to be the primary target there for Locke in his new and improved state. And I can't trust AB. Mike Williams, maybe? What do you guys think? Jared?
Yeah, it's tough to know I mean, it's just one game in Tampa and maybe AB bounces back. Although Carolina's been a pretty solid pass defense. Jerry Jeudy did finally start to get more targets, past 2 weeks, he's had a bunch more targets, double-digit targets. Mike Williams is hard to trust because he's just, you just never know. I mean, he can just disappear. So I would give a slight edge to Judy, but 2 straight weeks, Mike Williams has done pretty well. He's still only 70% rostered. He's had 8 targets, 7 targets, and over 80 yards in each game. So, either one of them, like Mike Williams is up against Miami. That's a pretty attractive matchup for the passing game, and Judy I think's up against the Raiders, so slight edge Judy.
I go Judy too. Y'all know that I've liked Judy since the draft, and he's finally become the number 1. No Sutton. Fant keeps getting banged up. Tim Patrick's a decent number 2. KJ Hamler's not doing much, and especially if this is a PPR league, guess which one of the two is getting targets? Jerry Judy. I would go with Judy.
Okay. Well, Aiden agrees, says Judy. And then Aiden says, we got our boy James Robinson that has 2.
Yeah, his backfield is banged up.
Oh, yeah. With Ozigbo and the other guy. I forget his name.
It's Jacksonville. Jacksonville. It's hard to remember them. Granted, DJ Chark, also a guy who exploded.
Oh, yeah. DJ Chark had a nice long one. Sorry, you lagged out there for a minute.
He finished with 27 this week. So, he definitely carried some people. And I benched him in one league, but I was like, I had Keenan Allen and Julio Jones, and I still would have. And I was like, I had nowhere to put him.
Well, let's since we were talking about running backs, do you guys have any good picks for to pick up off the waiver? Oh, wait, first we got to play the little waiver wire hitter.
Sleeper waiver wire.
And let's go to the sleeper waiver wire. If we got some sleepers, if we got some waiver wire pickups, I'm loving my sexy Rexy. I want to pick up some Rex Burkhead now that my favorite sleeper gone bust. I'll admit it. Harris has just been a bust. And maybe Rex can pick up the slack.
Yeah, I mean,
Baltimore?
I mean, but the thing is, like, Harris has actually done okay the last couple of weeks. I mean,
Has
he didn't get a touchdown this week, but he still had 14 carries for 71 yards. And then the previous week he had 102 and a touchdown. So,
yeah, that's true.
but I think he got a little bit banged up.
Yeah, he did. He's got a chest problem.
Yeah. So that could make the difference.
Sony Michelle has an illness. There's a lot of this illness stuff.
Yeah.
So, who else? I saw somebody else. For Dallas, the Red Rocket illness. Like, what does that mean? It's non-COVID illness. AJ Dillon too, illness.
I think from past years, like, I think we're just so much more tuned into these now. Like, I think we've always had these, like, food poisoning or flu or strep throat or something where we would see. I vaguely, in what's left of my pre-2020 memory, vaguely remember some of these things happening, but it's like, and I think we just didn't really pay attention to it. Now we're just like, COVID, it must be COVID. They say it's not COVID, but it must be COVID, so I think those were pretty common before, relatively common, and we just didn't pay attention to them. And then when COVID came along, it shifted our perspective to where we're like, what illness, so
interesting. Yeah. Oh, Aiden says, who's big bust this year? Godwin still hasn't had his bye, and David Moore and Chaquan Smith have had more points than him.
Well, granted, I mean, Godwin's been injured for like half the season, so I mean, when he's played, he's done very well. Like, he's consistently 13, 14, 15 points, with the exception of last week. Like, he's typically a 15-point at least type of guy. But yeah, the problem is he can't stay healthy for more than 2 games in a row.
Yeah, and what worries me now about Godwin is, we haven't really seen much of him since, kind of Rob Gronkowski's resurgence, and now they've added AB back in. And so now I'm like, is Godwin even going to produce? So I don't know.
It's hard to derive anything from that last game, though, right? I mean, that was just weird and terrible. Do you guys have any running backs you're picking up off the waiver sleeper wire?
They're, it's all just kind of like speculative, mostly speculative ads, because, Duke Johnson could be useful if David Johnson is out. Balaj, if Justin Jackson is out again, but like, Joshua Kelly still got most of those touches there, but Balaj just
didn't do much of them.
Balaj just outperformed him. So those are, a couple of the ones that I'm looking at. I was looking to see if there's anybody else that's really,
I thought you picked up Wayne Gallman right before the week started. Did you have any insight on that? Did you feel like, did he do well this week?
Freeman, well, I just saw that Freeman had gotten ruled out again, and Gallman has been surprisingly like Gallman the last 3 weeks. I wonder where he ranks over the last. I'm going to look over the last month to see where Gallman's scoring has ranked, because it's probably going to be absurdly high for the last 4 weeks, even though he did nothing in one of them. Basically he he's been in double digits because he's getting a touchdown each time with Devonta Freeman out. So
interesting. Did you have any, well, he's looking that up. Did you have any running backs that you were looking at might want to grab off the waiver wire with some injuries?
I can give you this. So over the last 4 weeks, Gallman didn't even play week 6. So this is without even playing one of the 4 weeks, and he's still 12th among running backs in points for the last 4 weeks, and not playing a week. Yeah.
Well, the top two have been weird, right? I saw, well, as far as touchdowns go, I think the top two players are it's got to be
For the season? For the season?
Gurley's number 2, I think, right?
Mhm.
And then it's
Crazy.
Yeah.
well, and Cook's number 1.
Cook's number 1, and then our boy Derrick Henry's number 3 at 8.
He's number 3. And then you know who's number 4, I think, is the quarterback, Murray.
Mm.
I think he's had 8 touchdowns.
I would believe it. I knew he's had a lot. So
Running touchdowns. Yeah. So AJ?
Desperation play, JD McKissick, maybe.
Yeah, I was looking at JD too.
Every
Every week I look at him.
mhm.
Interesting one. Only 25% owned. Jordan Wilkins. He's in Indianapolis. He's right now still getting more carries than Jonathan Taylor. And guess what Taylor did again? Fumbled. Granted, he was getting tackled by like 4 people at the time, but still. And guess what? We talked a lot about Taylor's great schedule. Guess whose great schedule that could be now? Jordan Wilkins. It's a run-first offense, and I know Rivers has been finally finding his groove, but this is still an offense that likes to run the football a lot. And if he really takes over that role from Taylor, that could be really nice, especially down the stretch.
Yeah, it looks like Wilkins had 11 carries for 39 yards. Could have had a touchdown.
Against Baltimore, if I'm correct, though, right?
Yeah, that's right. They were playing Baltimore. Okay, before we go to wide receivers, we got some people in the chat. Let's see. Kashif says, since AJ Brown is playing Thursday, I am confused on if I should start him or Allen Robinson. I mean, AJ Brown's been, when he's playing, when he's not hurt, it's been pretty solid. Double digits, high double digits, right? I mean, you're somebody who traded for him, right, Jared?
Yeah. So in the 5 weeks that he's been back, 4 of those 5 weeks he's been at 17 plus points. And the other one, he was still in double digits. He just had 10.4, which was a bad week for him. But he's been like, I mean, what hurt him was missing, games 2 and 3, and then they had their bye. I mean, if he'd played the whole season, I mean, you'd be looking at probably DK Metcalf here. So
wow.
I'm curious to see where he is. I'll look and see where he is, still in spite of missing those games.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead though.
Yeah. What do you think, AJ?
That's tough. So unless it's Devontae Adams playing a bad defense, I don't really like playing people on Thursday. I've kind of been burned by that a couple of times because you just think, oh, it's just a guy on Thursday. Well, they just went out and played 60 minutes of football on Sunday, took a 1-day break, and have 2 days to get ready. So I don't necessarily like playing people on Thursday, especially nowadays. But Allen Robinson, look, he's really, really good, and he's got Minnesota's defense, and they are terrible against the pass. So that could be really, really good. But at the same time, I think this is another one of those things we talk about pretty often. If you're looking for the safer play, AJ Brown's definitely going to be safer. Even though he's playing Indy, he always is going to have a safe floor, always has a big play opportunity, always gets the targets from Tannehill. So he will definitely be the safer play. But if you're looking for points, if you're chasing points, I would go Allen Robinson. I think it just depends on the situation you're in.
I saw an interesting stat that had Allen Robinson 4th in receptions on the team.
On his own team?
On his own team, yeah. It was for this last week. I think it was that Moody guy, or what was his name?
Darnell
Mooney, and then Miller.
Oh, just for this 1 week.
Yeah, for this week.
Okay, that makes more sense then.
Yeah,
and maybe longer, but yeah, for this week it was interesting. that Mooney and Miller had a lot more than him.
Well, they're
Kinda
playing
troubling.
Tennessee, though. They're playing Tennessee, and they're a decently stingy defense when it comes to the secondaries. Their pass rush, they can't get anything done. Because Robinson's out distancing everybody else by 20 targets. So
Yeah, he's overall like he's 6th in receptions among all players for the season.
That was an outlier.
Yeah.
So then it'll probably correct back the other way this week. So maybe Robinson is the play. All right, rank.
PPR, by the way, he said.
Oh, hey, but wait a minute. You were looking up a stat, Jared. Did you find
that? That was what I looked up as where he was among all players for receptions for the season, and he's 6th.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. Aiden says rank in order: Jacoby Myers, J.D. McKissick, Jalen Reagor, Duke Johnson, Curtis Samuel. Myers seems to be really connected with Cam, but Samuel just seems to be getting the work. And if CMC is out, the Chris Samuel will get a lot more rushing opportunity, or gadget play stuff. I'd probably do Curtis Samuel first and Jacoby, maybe Jalen. I just can't get a real good read on him. McKissick could be, Duke Johnson. He did really well. He looks good, but if Johnson comes back, I don't know. What do you guys think, AJ?
I think I'd put Jacoby Myers first. If the Patriots have any semblance of a passing attack, it's through Jacoby. So I would go him, and then Curtis Samuel, and then I think Jalen Reagor is definitely last for me.
Really?
I think so. I think Fulgham's the number 1 there. I think Rager's more of a really deep play if you need him right now, because even when he's come in, he's been inconsistent at best. Duke Johnson, I think, is good, but mostly if you have David Johnson as a replacement, because as we know, Duke Johnson will get 60 yards, 3 catches, and maybe a touchdown. So I think it's definitely Jacoby, then Samuel, then Johnson, then McKissick, then Reagor for me.
Okay, interesting. What do you think, Jared?
Not knowing with Duke, if he's even going to have the starting job, if David Johnson's going to be in there. I mean, at this point, right now, I guess I'd have to put him last. I mean, J.D. McKissick has a pretty safe floor. I would say, I'm just looking up Reagor real quick. I mean, Reagor only had, I guess he didn't really do a whole lot in that game, in that one game with Dallas. He did have a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. That's kind of what saved him there. I think I would go Duke, Reagor, Samuel, McKissick, Myers. I'm sorry. In the reverse order? I did that in the reverse order. Yeah. So I'm sorry. That was stupid. No, so, Myers, what did I even say now? McKissick, Samuel, Reagor, and Duke Johnson. Okay.
Interesting. Well, McKissick is out there a lot. I haven't pulled the trigger on him yet, but I've wanted to. So maybe Myers is too. I picked him up. I should have played him. He's on my bench in a lot of places, and I should have played him instead of who did I put in there? Some jabron. Wonderful. Taylor on the gave me 1 stinking point on the 49ers. Some Taylor guy I thought would.
Oh, yeah, because Richie James ended up being the one who got 28 points. Yeah. Trent Taylor.
Richie James. Trent Taylor. Yeah. Okay. That's funny, too, because remember that time I had mentioned James? I was like, he's a pretty good player. And you guys are like, he got 1 catch. and so I actually thought about him. And then I heard you guys saying, he got 1 catch. And of course, how many catches did Taylor ever get? Stop playing Russian roulette with these wide receivers, Judah. All right, so Bobby says, would you trade Connor for Mixon? Interesting. If Ben is out, is Connor is he going to see a downturn in the next couple of games? Because even if Ben comes back because of, positive or negative testing, he still has like a shoulder thing or a knee thing or something, right? He has a knee thing, 2 knee thing.
I don't know. Roethlisberger's just always.
Yeah, that's true. Well, would you trade Connor for Mixon?
The thing I don't like about that is that Week 15 matchup where they play each other. Mm-hmm. And so Connor gets the Bengals and Mixon has to play the Steelers. I mean, I guess it depends on. Let's see what the rest of their schedule looks like. I mean, if you're needing just somebody to get you there, Mixon's got a fairly friendly schedule: Washington, New York, Miami, Dallas. Connors is Jacksonville, Baltimore, Washington, Buffalo. Actually, still, I mean, apart from that Buffalo matchup, so that's kind of tough. That's kind of tough because the Week 15 matchup again. I mean, like as soon as I can look ahead to that, I try to do that, but it's a complicated one because I mean Connor is so injury prone. I would completely accept either argument there.
Kind of a wash.
I think it's equal risk, pretty much. Yeah.
Agree, AJ?
I don't know what to do with either of these. I'm going to be 100% honest with you because Connor's fine, but he can be anywhere between 100 yards or touchdown dependent. Mixon hasn't stayed healthy for weeks, so I don't know.
Is he going to play next week?
Right, exactly. I don't know what he's going to look like when he comes back. I probably wouldn't do it. I probably wouldn't do it right now.
Zach says, "What's up, AJ?
Hey, how's it going?"
AR3.
Allen Robinson. He's the second. It was the back there. He's the second, by the way. Allen Robinson second.
Oh, he's the second, not the third.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, my dudes? It's Drew Vano in the chat. What's going on, Drew? Drew says, would you start Jerry Jeudy over DJ Moore and downtown Antonio Brown? We kind of talked about this earlier. We seem to like Jerry a little bit. It wasn't DJ Moore. It was Michael Williams, but kind of the same thing. I think we would go Jerry Jeudy. Am I wrong with that, guys?
I would say Jeudy because I mean he's the number one. He's got a good matchup this week. We just don't know yet what the Antonio Brown situation is going to be there. DJ Moore, 2 duds after 3 games of looking like he did last year. Yeah. So, yeah, I would just based on the role, I would go Jeudy.
Same.
And the matchup.
Same. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, who are they playing? Tampa, who did just get absolutely wrecked. But they got wrecked by Drew Brees throwing it underneath 80% of the time, and that's not what DJ Moore does. Especially if McCaffrey's back, Carolina's going to lean on him like a crutch. So even though Bridgewater's been good, I don't want to deny that. He's been like top 5 in a whole lot of stats statistically in the NFL, especially in yardage. He hasn't been bad. But, yeah, Judy's definitely got the role and the volume. And Antonio He had more. I think last week he had more passes deflected than he did catches, if I remember. Yeah, okay. He was better defensively.
I would say McCaffrey's name with the word crutch in the same sentence. I just wouldn't do that. That's bad. That's bad juju. Oh boy. What up, guys? Liam, what?
I was gonna say saying juju in the same sentence with McCaffrey is probably also bad juju.
That's true. Although Juju had a pretty good game this last week.
Yeah, he's actually 3 now. Now Juju's back again for however long. 2 games of nothing, and then the last 3 games he's been in double digits. I don't know.
It's Russian roulette, man, and not Russian roulette. It's that's terrible. That's murder. But no, what's that? It's roulette, right? It's roulette. It's like if it falls on the 11 this week, it's just regular roulette, right?
See, it's really bad. I have one team that's like just completely dead in the water, and I've got Amari Cooper, Justin Jefferson. I had Juju Smith-Schuster, Robert Woods, and just DJ Moore, and like an amalgamation of the worst possible wide receiver combination. It was bad.
Oh, mercy. Liam says, what's up, Liam? It's good to have you in the chat, by the way, bro. Breeze versus San Fran or roll with Tannehill versus Indy on Thursday. I'm staring down a couple Tannehill questions too. What do you guys think? I might just roll with Breeze. He seems to be hot. And Tannehill, man, he burnt me this week. He got less than Lamar.
Chicago's defense, man. Chicago's defense. I'd go Breeze. Tannehill's on a short week against a tough defense in Indianapolis. And while they're by no means world beaters, I think they're going to be definitely tougher than Breeze is going to have to face against San Francisco. Plus, the Saints are riding on a very, very high. They're on cloud 9 right now after beating Tampa. So, I mean, yeah, they could just come crashing down against San Francisco, but I don't think they will. I'd go Breeze. He's the safer pick. I wouldn't want to go Tannehill on a short week against a tough D.
Feel the same, Jared, or different?
I would go Breeze. Indy's pass defense has been okay. Tannehill can put it on the ground too, but I would go Breeze. Breeze has bounced back after, those first couple of tough games.
Yeah.
He really has.
And Liam brings up, even Taysom Hill's been getting in, which nobody knows. I saw this one thing from Bleacher Report with a whole bunch of people just trying to figure out what Taysom Hill's thing was. And Julio just finally asked, what is Taysom's job anyway? And Sean Payton goes, nobody knows. Look, Taysom's been doing great, but Breeze is still throwing touchdowns. They'll have Taysom get him down to the 20 and Breeze finishes the job. If he's getting the touchdowns, I'm keeping Drew in for as long as I can.
All right. Well, let's try to hit these fast, guys. We only have about 8 minutes left. We're trying to keep it quick tonight. So, and we're gonna hit the button right at 11. So let's try to get some of these in. We also want to talk about a little Waverwire. So, DJ Moore, or
we are right at 11. So we're gonna have to hit the button a little later.
All right, we'll hit the button a little later. Rest of the season, DJ Moore or Curtis Samuel? It's kind of a dice roll.
It's like Two-Face, but there's no good side.
Yeah.
You get it right.
I'll say Moore, but man, I don't know. I'm just thinking it's got to be like a Juju thing or something where he comes back and gets something. Sometimes maybe you play him for 2 weeks and bench him for. We really are getting into that territory of this season. Is that territory that I talk about hating, where you want to have guys that you can just plug in every week. Maybe you rotate out a couple guys based on matchups and stuff like that, but mostly you just go with the same ones. This year, again, you don't know if it's going to be Robbie Anderson. You don't know if it's going to be Curtis Samuel. You don't know if it's going to be DJ Moore. And it's just just extrapolate that scenario out across the entire NFL.
Yeah. It's hard to find solid. If you don't have Adams, basically, who are you playing at wide receiver that you trust?
Right.
Metcalf.
Yeah.
Metcalf.
Yeah, Metcalf. But a lot of the guys, like, you can say AJ Brown, but then he missed time with injury and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a limited number.
Yeah. All right. Rager, Aiden's saying Rager has a pretty easy schedule coming up. Yeah, it does look really nice. And he said Meyer's upcoming schedule is not that good.
Yeah, but what is Rager's role exactly in that offense? Travis Fulgham's emerged. Miles Sanders is catching passes.
Jeffrey might be back this week.
Goddard's back. Jeffrey might be back. I think it's harder to project his role a little bit. I think Jacoby Myers is at worst gonna, like, even if Julian Edelman comes back, he's the the Patriots' number 2 option. Maybe it seems like he's shown enough to, keep that. And Julian Edelman wasn't getting a ton of targets even prior to it. So I think, again, we always talk about chasing the targets and the volume, and it just seems like that's Jacoby Myers.
Myers, yeah, I agree. Agreed, AJ?
Yeah, I think I'm with that same thing.
Yeah. All right, guys, rank in order: Lazard, Gus Bus, Pollard, Wilkins, Gallman, Aguilar, Miller, and Mooney.
I looked at that question and my brain just said no.
Just said no.
No.
Okay, let's just say this. Who would you like to have? Is there anybody that you would like that you would start out of these guys?
I mean, if we're talking rest of season or we're talking this week,
This week.
He doesn't say that, does he? Doesn't specify that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this week.
So I mean, this week, if Devonta Freeman doesn't play, there's a chance they may hold him out through their bye. Gallman's had 3 straight weeks of, 13.9, 12.7, 14.2. He's not getting a ton of carries. He's, getting enough yards, although his yards are going up every week. And he's had a touchdown in 3 straight.
Against tough defenses, too. I mean, Tampa and Washington, they're no slouch.
And Philly, he's got Philly again. He started that streak against Philly, and Philly has given up the 9th fewest to running backs. So, Gus Edwards, is Mark Ingram going to be back? Pollard's on bye. We don't know about these other situations for 1 week. Out Gallman, if Devonta Freeman's out, Gallman would be my pick. Rest of season, I think probably the guy with the most upside. I would say probably either Edwards or Wilkins. Edwards, if depending on what they do with Mark Ingram, Edwards, they get the Jags in week 15. Wilkins is in theoretically a good run offense. Just depending on what they decide to do, but I think they're just going to continually be hampered by Taylor and Naheem Hines and stuff. So I hope that's a deep league. I hope that's a deep league you're in there, because
I think he's looking at the waiver wire probably and saying who's a big guy.
Yeah.
AJ?
I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to put these in tiers real quick.
Okay.
Cheers. Bottom tier out of these, Anthony Miller and Tony Pollard for sure. I wouldn't start either of them. I mean, Pollard's really only good if you've got Zeke, but I mean, Zeke's done nothing. So what do you think? Is Pollard going to do any better? So they're definitely at the bottom for me. Middle is Edwards. I mean, he's not bad. He'll give you a solid low end 6, high end 15. So, I mean, he's not bad. Lazard is in the middle as well because, I mean, he could be great, but he had 2 good weeks. One of those when Adams wasn't playing, and we don't know what he's going to do after that. So he's just the middle just because he's a question, but I'd pick him up for sure. I would definitely stash him on my bench. And then I'd also put Mooney and Aguilar there. They're both interesting to me. And then at the top, since we always talk about how running backs are most important, Wilkins, if he's the true number 1, he's got a great schedule. And Gallman for now as well, because like Jared said, he's been playing well against tough defenses. And maybe even put Lazard at the top, because I think he definitely is. If this is his waiver wire, I'd absolutely love to have him on my bench. I've got him in my IR in 1 or 2. So yeah, that's my little mini tier list of these.
Yeah. I like Lazard. I like Aguilar. I think he's been doing really well.
Yeah, you're with Drew on that one. He says Aguilar and Lazard.
Okay, but you're right. The running backs have a premium. Let's see. Let's go down. So Liam was talking about Taysom Hill. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So I mean, he's just talking about Taysom Hill, and that's it. Okay. Well, let's finish up with some waiver wire. Do you guys have any wide receiver waiver wire? I was looking.
Oh, real quick. We do have one more question real quick.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Running backs, Edwards or Gallman?
If for one week, if Freeman's out, I'd go Gallman. If not, then I would say Edwards. And rest of season, I would, I guess, prefer Edwards.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, we have already talked considerably about a lot of these guys that are on the waiver wire, except John Brown. Nobody's really mentioned John Brown.
Yeah.
He was injured there for a while, and he got dropped. I picked him up in a lot of leagues. People dropping him like hotcakes, and he did well this year. This last week, and I think he will continue to do well because they need him to stretch the field. As you saw Josh Allen do better when he had multiple targets to go to, not just his main man. No diggity, no doubt.
He was
I
leading
like
the league
John
in
Brown.
yards somehow.
In rushing yards?
In receiving yards. Diggs is the number one receiver in receiving yards somehow.
Well, yeah, dude, he's elite. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think about John Brown? Or did you guys? I mean, we've talked about Curtis Samuel, Jacoby Myers, Lazard, Sterling Shepard is out there in 60% or in 40% of leagues.
Yeah, Shepard's a good pickup. He's getting the volume. A guy that his volume can kind of dip on some games, but is still pretty underrated is because he's at least getting enough touchdowns is Tim Patrick.
Yep, there he is.
Who's only 21% rostered. He's had like basically over the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. Well, 7 games because apparently I guess he missed one. In the 6 that he played, he's been getting a lot of times, 7, 8, 9 targets. There's been a couple where he's only had 4, but he's saved it with touchdowns and stuff. He's been in double digits in 5 of the last 6 games he's played. The one being, I think, probably the one where I started him in Kansas City. So he's an option out there, even though we talk about Judy. He had a touchdown and just nearly missed because I was watching that Falcons game. He just nearly missed another.
Wow. I started him this week, and I was really frustrated until he caught that touchdown. It's good to know that he had another one coming his way. AJ, did you have any? Jared,
I was going to say one other one is and this is a guy I've been having to drop in some places that I don't want to drop, but I just have to plug in. I need another tight end or a running back or something. But Emmanuel Sanders, who he's the last 4 games he's played, he's basically been at 12 points or more. People think, well, now that Thomas is back, he's just it's not going to be there for him. But it might. He still had a touchdown. He only had 5 targets, 4 catches, and 38 yards. But even looking at Michael Thomas, he only had 6 targets, 5 catches, 51 yards. So he got Sanders.
Huge dud this week.
Yeah, this season.
Yeah. Good call. I haven't actually seen anybody talk about him. That'd be a good one to pick up. Manny Sanders. Any others that stuck out to you, AJ? You like that Patrick pick?
Tim Patrick was going to be my main one. Be wary of Marvin Jones. I love the guy. This could be, and like I always say, he comes on late season. He comes on late in the season. He's had 3 touchdowns in the last 2 games. He's not getting the targets, but if he's getting red zone targets from Matthew Stafford, that could be good. I think he's more of a desperation flex play at this rate just because he doesn't have that many targets, and that really scares me. But I love Marvin Jones. He's a bro. I don't know what to say about him. I like Marvin Jones a lot. There really aren't that many wide receivers that I would super want to get out there right now. It seems just kind of like a mess. Like Sterling Shepard's probably the other best one out there. Okay. I don't think there's many. If you can somehow find an Ayuk with 25% out there.
Yeah, he might be out there because he was on the COVID list and people drop him, Another guy might want to look at is David Moore. He produces, and going against the Rams. DK Metcalf might get him some large shares of Ramsey. So, it might squirt out David Moore's direction as far as getting some of the targets.
Like speaking of Ayuk, Debo Samuel is only 57% rostered.
Whoa!
He's available in about a little over a quarter of my leagues. But he hasn't played each of the last 2 weeks. But prior to that, he had a couple of back-to-back games of 65 yards, had a touchdown in one of them. Again, only 57% rostered. I think between his injuries and Jimmy G not being there, I mean, people probably factored that in. But let's be honest: is the backup quarterback really that much of a drop from Jimmy G? No. So yeah, Debo, he is probably going to be out there in some leagues.
That's good. Look out for Debo. Real quick, Drew says Dolphins, Packers, or Saints defense this week.
Easy Saints. I'm going to go ahead and say that. Yes, Dolphins are playing the Chargers. I don't want to play Herbert no matter what defense this is. I wouldn't want to play Herbert. Packers defense is playing Jacksonville. That seems like a great matchup.
Dolphins are playing Herbert again?
I think again. Did they already play, or am I just crazy?
That's who they played last week, right?
They played Kyler last week.
Kyler. Oh yeah. Ooh, that's gonna be a big matchup. Herbert versus Tua.
Yeah. So I would not want to start Miami against Herbert. Packers. I mean, they're fine, but here's the thing. And I was explaining this to my friend who's a big Packers fan. I was like, look. First off, their defense isn't good. And second of all, they are bottom 4 in the league in turnovers. And that's what you want out of your defense. Because, like, sacks are nice. They'll get you an extra point or two, but it's the turnovers, the interceptions, the fumbles that really make a good fantasy defense. Packers will never give you that this year. Saints defense is doing absolutely insane. This is a 49ers team that's still not at 100%. They're banged up. They've been inconsistent all year. Saints are coming out from locking up on Tom Brady. I would go New Orleans defense. Easy.
They always get better at the end of the season too, Saints.
Yeah,
defense wise. You agreed, Jared, or have any input on that?
I think I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. I like the Dolphins, but not this week particularly.
Not this week. Yeah, they might be a good stash. Can you guys rate my trade? PPR traded Edmonds, Swift, Jefferson, and Tim Patrick for Michael Thomas and David Montgomery. I would rather have Edmonds, Swift, and Jefferson and Tim Patrick. I'm sorry, but Michael Thomas just looks like – I mean, maybe he'll turn it up, though. He may turn it up.
Yeah, you're gonna need Michael Thomas to very quickly go back to being old Michael Thomas, because I would at this point, like, Edmonds and Swift are – basically maybe slightly upgrade David Montgomery. They're all kind of in the ballpark there. Edmonds without Kenyon Drake is the best out of all of them. If you're good at running back, if you just needed a stud receiver that you wanted to take a swing at, I mean, Michael Thomas is as good of any, apart from Devontae Adams and, a DK Metcalf or AJ Brown this year. But you're going to really need him to be old Michael Thomas in order to make this pay off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's a risk. That's the one thing. The trade isn't bad if Thomas is going to be the stud he's going to be, because Edmonds is going to be off and on. He had 20 carries last week and didn't do 70 yards against Miami. I mean, Miami's a good front seven. Don't get me wrong. They have been surprisingly good, but I don't think we expected a guy with 100% of the backfield carries to do a little bit more this week. And Swift, 1 week it looks like he's the number one. Next week, Adrian Peterson gets 30 carries. So I don't know what to do with DeAndre Swift. Tim Patrick and Jefferson, I think that's maybe the thing that's getting me a little bit. That you gave up 4 of them, and especially since Montgomery's in concussion protocol and he's been inconsistent and he's not very efficient because our offensive line is terrible. But look, if Thomas turns out to be the stud he's going to be, you basically got away with highway robbery by giving up a second-string running back, a committee running back, a number 2 wide receiver, and a number 2 wide receiver in a mediocre offense. Just gotta hope. Thomas does that
I think
well.
he's throwing in his running backs. His running backs are Robinson, Jacobs,
Ooh,
and then Boyd and Ridley. Yeah,
that's
I mean,
not bad.
if all those guys stay healthy and you need like 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex, then that's a pretty good 5 to have in there if you're adding Michael Thomas to those.
Yeah, I still give it a C. Fish. Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, Fish. Good to have you in the chat. He says different week, same question. Boyd or AJ Brown. Just fire them both up, bro. Figure out how to get them both in there. But I'd probably take Boyd this week. What do you guys think?
Gosh, we're getting into territory where it's hard to bench AJ Brown. I mean, Boyd, I like, like you said, I mean, I like Boyd. I don't want to pull him out of my lineup either, especially against the Steelers. I mean, 2 straight weeks of AJ Brown type numbers, 22 and 16, but he had a few prior to that where it was, more around the 10 average. You don't know for sure with the Bengals week to week. Like, you got T. Higgins, you got AJ Green that could get some double-digit targets. That's, I guess, where the difference is. But they're both so good. Boyd could outscore him, but I would go with Brown.
Mm-hmm. And correct me if I'm wrong. The Bengals are taking on, is it Pittsburgh this week?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there we go. Burrow's not going to have any time to throw. Go AJ Brown. Yeah.
I don't know. They're pretty easy pass defense, though.
Yeah, but I mean, Joe Burrow, as good as he can be, we've seen him just completely get mauled by his messed up offensive line. And I mean, he's done well recently because the Browns pass rushes. I mean, if you stop Garrett, you stop them all. But then look at when they played Baltimore. 3 points for Cincinnati. Don't want to have them go against that incredible front seven in Pittsburgh.
True.
And he's got Metcalf and Devontae Adams, so he's just set.
Yeah, he has. Fish, you need to go out and you need to trade, bro. You need to make a good trade. Go trade Devontae Adams for like a real good, like if you could get Cook,
If someone's willing to give up Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, I wonder what you would have to get a Cook in a year like this. Like, what would I wouldn't give it up. I mean, someone would have to. I would have to have a completely depleted roster otherwise, and then people would have to give me like 4 A- players for that 1 A+ player.
Yeah. And even with like Metcalf, Adams, and AJ Brown, you've got upside of 70 points a week from those 3 players alone. That's like normal. That might not even be PPR.
All right.
And he has Christian McCaffrey. Okay.
He also nice.
So he's stacked.
You got it. All right, guys. I'm depleted. Unless you guys have any good quarterbacks on the waiver wire, Lock. I don't know.
Lock wasn't bad last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Raiders are friendly, forgiving to the pass. I'm probably going to be streaming him in a couple of places this week.
Would you do Lock or Breeze?
Maybe Lock. I think they're both. I think I'm probably using one or the other where one of them's available. I'm probably using both. I know I am using both in a couple of leagues. So.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I'm getting tired. The rate, no.
Go ahead.
Rate is other league. Drake, more Landry for McLaurin. Yeah,
I like that.
I take McLaurin. Yeah.
Terry McLaurin's kind of been quietly one of the most consistent wide receivers in fantasy.
He didn't do great this week, though, did he?
No, he did all right, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, no, he still had 7 catches, 115, and a touchdown. So,
okay, that's good.
Yeah, and I don't know. I didn't see the game, so I didn't see if that came mostly if it was a split, if it came before Kyle Allen got hurt, after Kyle Allen got hurt. I guess that would be my one reservation is not knowing Alex Smith, like how that factored in or whatever. But
Yeah.
but otherwise, like I'm a fan of trading mediocre depth for star players because you can find other mediocre players on the waiver wire unless it's running
that's a
backs.
good point.
Then that sometimes gets tougher. But this year, it's actually that's not the case this year. So I'm fine with that because we don't know when Drake's coming back. Moore's, you don't know what you're going to get. Landry, you don't know what you're getting. So yeah, I like that trade. I would. That's I think B plus trade. I'd say. I mean, Drake. If Drake comes back and is okay, then that and I mean that's a meaningful. Having a decent running back is meaningful this year. But like A minus. Yeah, maybe an A- trade.
A- for me too. And I just checked. So Kyle Allen, before he went out, went 5 for 7, and McLaurin finished with 12 targets. So a decent amount of that had to have come from Alex Smith. I think he'll be all right.
All right, guys. Well, there you have it. We're outie. Get some rest, guys. Hey, I know you guys aren't getting rest, but let's get some sleep. Let's drink some water, deep breathing, and eat right. Huh?
Yeah, we got one more thing though before we leave. Fish had one last thing for us.
What do you have?
Goddard, Gronk, or Hooper going forward?
Gronk?
Yeah, Gronk for me. I mean, adding AB in makes it a little bit iffier for me, but I would say Gronk. Yeah.
It might be Goddard, but it's hard to tell. It's crazy.
It might be Hooper. I mean, because 2020. Like I just go through like every list of names we get. Like, well, I actually, and then I just like circle. I just go in circles of like who. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. All right, guys. Good night. Everybody get some healthy in your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be 2020 forever. Good night, everybody, and we'll see you on Saturday. Unless, who knows, right?
Unless who knows? Yeah, it's like 2020 is our worst year, but hopefully it's not our last year.
That's right. All right. Good night, everybody. We'll see you later.
See ya.